This exhibition is really these reflections from a human in limbo who's reflecting on the human experience of existing, inhabiting liminal spaces and liminal states, reflecting on the emotions, the isolation, the aloneness of those spaces that we really, all of us inhabit in kind of multiple times each day. And then often there are intense ones, like when we lose a job, or thinking about the space in between, the grief of losing a child, and that space of not knowing if motherhood will ever be realized, and the journey that we go through in that. Also, part of that is the interior work that is necessary. I think if we lean into liminality, that we end up doing a really kind of interior exploration of the wilderness within us, and that it reveals things about ourselves that we may not have known had we not entered into this space. And so, like the description of the show, liminal spaces, we can enter into them like Dennis and I were talking about when we sleep. Sometimes to sleep, from being awake and sleep is a liminal space. Definitely birth and death is one that we all experience. But also losing a job, war. It has a beginning and then this unknown ending and all of the things that happen in between. Heartbreak, which comes from breaking up with a boyfriend or girlfriend, or divorce, which is one so many people experience. Losing a child. The list goes on, and the uncertainties, the grief, the pain, and then also that place can be beautiful, strangely beautiful. It can be. And so this work happened to need to be made during a time when I was in a period of intense limbo and in a liminal space. I think if you look back over all of my work, there's this thread of exploration in it all. But in this particular work, I was in a moment, and in many ways still in that moment, and I decided to do some research and work about the psychology of it that's involved, paying attention to stories of other people who have journeyed through hard uncertainties and pains through this threshold towards the other side. But then also I got really interested on like music and poetry as ways and tools of navigating these unknown landscapes that we may enter into, and color, the psychology of color. I'm not from Houston, I'm not from Texas, but when I moved to Houston, I remember I love black and blues. Those are my colors, and I wore a lot of black. And often Houstonians who are close to me would think I was depressed all the time. And I'm like, I'm really fine. And it was just, and I noticed like a lot of the Houstonians around me were wearing all these beautiful, like radiant colors, but it just wasn't part of my wardrobe. I love black. And it really got me curious about the associations that we make with color, and how sometimes what we wear and the colors we gravitate towards do speak and resonate with what we're experiencing and thinking and feeling, but then sometimes it doesn't, and how it can help, like we can misread what people are experiencing and going through based on our color associations. And so that's what Sound and Color is about, is just kind of like this play with color. This woman who you will find throughout the exhibition, I use old ebony magazines a lot in my work, and I'm often very frustrated at how women, Black women and women, are like props to advertisement for men. And so it was a part of an advertisement for men and this woman, but I thought she was so beautiful, and I wanted to center her and her expression. For me, just like the experience of the liminal space is so textured and layered, I feel like depending on where your perception of her and the things around her, you may perceive something different from her experience, and all of which I feel are a part of experiencing these moments of uncertainty and pain and healing and beauty and life and joy and all these things. And just like her expressions, the colors too, you know, yellow can mean joy and symbolize friendship and happiness, but also illness, jealousy, you know, like color itself has so many layers to it. And so it was fun to really play with color and her expression in that, and that sound and color, music. All of the titles for the works, for the most part, come from songs that I listened to while journeying through liminal spaces. And yeah, so that's the work. I use a lot of found material, a lot of material that's discarded. So books, I came across this gold mine of discarded interior maps, and I collect them, and they sat there for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, so for such a time as this, I have this stash of supplies. And so it was really fun to create this work that, yeah, it's kind of visual poetry of sorts of one woman's experience, but also like poetry, I think it's universal.
That was Lanecia Rouse talking about her latest exhibition, Betwixt, now showing at the Galveston Art Center from August 26th to November 12th, 2023. You can learn more about this exhibition and the Galveston Art Center at galvestonartcenter.org.